Hi guys. I hope you're okay. I am doing a bit of a sort of a tweeny episode today, a tweeny session. I've got to take my car in for its MOT in a couple of hours, so I don't want to get stuck into a mission where I'm just gonna get really frustrated that I'm not going to be able to finish it, or I rush things. I don't want that to happen. So I thought, because one of you said that I should take some time to read the journal. And normally I do, but because I've been recording it, I've been kind of skipping that kind of thing because it just takes too long. So I thought instead of doing it in the middle of a sort of a session, I'm going to just do a session. So today I am going to read through Arthur's journal. So if you don't want to hear that being read out in kind of order, and also my thoughts on the individuals and maybe what's gone on, I'm trying to get some sort of semblance of the narrative and the history of the gang and everything. If you don't want to hear that, if you don't want to see it, if you think, oh, I already know all of this is real, no, that's fine. You can just skip this episode. Makes more sense than to like shove it in the middle of another one. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to kind of work my way through his journal and see if I can kind of get more of a sort of a semblance of an idea about the history and what's gone on and who they are, and also what Arthur is thinking, maybe about their sort of plans for the future and so on. I thought that would be really interesting, certainly for me. And maybe if you haven't actually, if this is your first playthrough as well, if you're kind of watching me play it through, maybe for the first time, and you want more information, or you haven't had a chance to do this, this might be quite nice for people to see. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start waffling so I can actually get on and do it. So I'm going to stop, I'm going to load up, I'm going to get my tea, and I will be ready to read. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so here we go. Let's open up the journal. Or not. Oh, okay. It's just at this point, being 40 something percent of the way through, it sort of seems quite smart to maybe take a look. So, I mean, chapter. Let's go. Okay, so I'd already read all of this stuff about the about what went on in Blackwater, but but I could go from the absolute the kind of the very beginning. So let's do this. So right from the start. So here we go. So Blackwater. I bought this new journal after the last one got destroyed in that fire all those months ago, whenever it was. Haven't written or drawn much in the past few months, but I was missing it more than I thought I would, and finally near a store, so here I am, I guess. After all that business up north and the fire, we spent a few months in the wilderness travelling down from the northern grizzlies. So there was a fire, okay. Stuck mostly in the western foothills of the mountains during the worst of the winter. Food was easy to find and life was good. Dutch had a lead for some land we were going to buy, but the land did not match up to his criteria, or he got spooked that we were being watched by the law and that somebody knew who he was, and we never bought it and we are wandering still. We picked up a couple of new folk in the Grizzlies. Jenny, a sweet young girl, we met abandoned on the roadside, and Micah, an outlaw Dutch met in a bar someplace. Ah, right, okay, so he was just like a rando from a bar. Dutch seems very taken with Micah, who is pretty hot-headed, argumentative, and full of himself. Hosea and I are less sure. Guess we shall see. Eventually, he came out of the wilderness and are now holed up outside of Blackwater, although sometimes I stay in town hunting for opportunities. I might be onto something. We've got plenty of money, and the trail we took was so tortuous and slow, nobody could have followed us south or east or figured out where we was heading. We was thinking about California, but then Dutch and Hosea brought us down to Blackwater. So again, is it because they'd heard that there was going to be something? So nice sketch of Blackwater, I guess. Blackwater has apparently grown a whole lot since any of them was last here. I was told to expect little more than a trading post, but the place is growing fast, and it is almost a small city. The town seems to be riddled with corruption, but there's certainly plenty of money here. It's good to be sleeping in a bed from time to time and living a more civilised life after so long under canvas, but I do not particularly like being this near to a town. We are living here, camping outside town mostly, hidden in plain sight, I guess. Life seems pretty easy. Abigail and Marston, that's John, kept arguing. I wonder why exactly he came back. He was gone for about a year, I remember that, but nobody seems to know why. It looks like he just basically, did one. He cannot seem to decide if he wants to be a father to that boy of his or not. The arguing is exhausting. I've heard talk of a man sounded like Trelawney, but we haven't seen him for many months. So Trelawney must be like a hanger-on. He must occasionally just sort of pop up and sort of flash up and then disappear. Okay. Hosea and I are onto something. Something pretty big. Might be a lot of cash coming in to do with a real estate scam Hosea thinks he may have discovered. I am not sure yet. The perfect crime, we think. One where we rob crooks. We are being real careful. Well, that's a point, actually, because if the crooks have got... That's a good point. That's a good thing, I guess, because if the crooks... if you're robbing crooks, they're not exactly going to go to the authorities, are they? About what you've stolen. It's fun working with Hosea again. The man is an artist of nonsense. Even if nothing comes of it, we're having an amusing enough time. Well, they're good friends. That's really nice. It's good to be... Here we go, sorry. It's good to be running scams again. Hosea is a born huckster. He's getting anxious, worried that by lingering in town, we are going to bring undue attention to ourselves. But Dutch thinks he is also onto something big. His words, not mine. Bank money being brought in by boats, apparently. So for now, we are working on both things and seeing what happens. Plan is to flee west into the desert country someplace if we can. And this is one of those moments that you it's like greed, isn't it? So has Dutch been getting greedy about what he is after, like more and more? He just wants bigger and bigger and more, rather than the sort of the stuff that will kind of keep you under the radar. I don't know. It's interesting. And Dutch does like Micah, even though other people are less sure. Micah and Dutch are planning to rob the ferry in town. They think it's laden with riches, cash coming in for the banks, coming in by boat. For once, I am not getting involved in the job. Hosea and I are too taken up with our business, which I believe could go very well, and Dutch seems confident that with the group assembled, all will be okay. Plan is for them to carry out the job, then flee into the wilderness out to the west. The next day, Hosea and I carry out our scan and join them. Dutch seems happy and excited. He's talking again about California, but he's also talking about a lot of other places. Very indecisive. Very indecisive. Blackwater looks like a nice place. Shame I can't go. We have been running for weeks, and I mean running more than usual. The job they were pulling in Blackwater, robbing that ferry, it turned into a disaster. Young Jenny got killed, poor thing, while Sean and Mac both got arrested or killed, nobody seems sure which. Well, we know that Mac got killed, and we've rescued Sean now. So Sean was okay, but he was being held by bounty hunters, I think, to try and kind of lure us out so that they could get more money. Dutch shot a girl. I am not too sure if by accident or design, and seems like it might have been a setup. We took to the hills in an almighty scramble, leaving money and most of our things behind. Now, I don't know, I don't seem to have heard any more about this, about Dutch having shot this girl. It doesn't seem to have been mentioned recently. However, it might be in the journal. I don't know. So that's something that we definitely need to take a look at. Then, as we were fleeing east over the Grizzlies, an almighty storm hit us. So that's very different because they were talking about going west to California and they've gone east to the snowy mountains. Davy Callender, who had got shot in the gut on the raid, passed away. It was brutal to watch, and the rest of us nearly froze. But we found shelter and have been resting here in some old abandoned mining town while we await the thaw. And that was where we came in, basically. This is the moment that we came into the story because Davy died in front of us within minutes of us sort of turning this game on. So that's pretty much where we've entered the fray. Okay, so Camp Coulter. So this is the old abandoned mining town. Hardly the spring I had been hoping for. Hosea and I had been planning a robbery of our own in Blackwater, but I guess that's been abandoned along with most of what I owned. I am profoundly concerned as to what happens next. Once we leave this place, or the law finds us cowering up here. Found a girl, well, a woman I should say. Her husband had been murdered by some of Colm O'Driscoll boys. Nasty business. That's Sadie, who really is completely holding her own now. This little drawing. I like his little sketches. They're lovely. Leviticus Cornwall. So that's on the left. You can see the map of the plan to rob that first train. So that we were going to hide upon the ridge, and then I think it was Bill was going to blow the tracks, except it didn't work, and we ended up having to chase down the train and jump on top of it, and it was all a bit of a mess. But still, we did what we needed to do. Okay, seems Colm O'Driscoll had the same ideas as us. He's been hiding up here, scouting out a train he wanted to rob. We found that out from the guy that was in the barn. We bumped into some of his boys at some farmstead they were robbing and found that poor woman whose husband they had murdered, and she's now riding with us as she ain't got no better place to be. Then, Dutch being Dutch and his hatred for Colm being just as powerful as ever it was, a whole bunch of us went to pay him a visit in his camp, but he escaped. And we got caught by the law because we didn't realise that we had to just keep our hands up, and we accidentally drew our gun on them, and that was not so much fun. Okay. Hey, back when I really, really didn't know what I was doing. Okay. Coulter. We grabbed one of his boys. Poor bastard ain't spoken yet, but he will once we freeze him a little. Then set Bill on him. Been a bad few weeks, but we're mostly still alive. Dutch being Dutch is busy making plans and figuring out just how we're going to survive. And Dutch being Dutch, those plans involve robbery and dreams. So, I mean, Arthur's not under any illusion, is he? That Dutch is a dreamer and kind of not necessarily quite as sort of full of common sense as he should be. So Horseshoe Overlook, that was where we were staying above Valentine. Nice camp. It's him looking out from his tent and chopping some wood. Okay. Horseshoe Overlook. Finally a thaw in this god-awful weather. We got off the mountain and rode east into some pretty enough country called the Heartlands. Ain't been this east in many a year. Hosea seems to know this country a little. Ain't been much of a spring. Now holed up at a place called Horseshoe Overlook, outside of some dumpy little cattle town, name of Valentine. Dutch seems a little better. His eyes are sparkling once more, and I can see he's thinking a little clearer. I think we all feel a little happier in spite of Blackwater and that whole mess. Headed into Valentine with Uncle and the girls. Girls went scouting out work while Uncle and I had a few drinks, and he explained more of his theories on existence and barefaced lies about his past. Things took a strange turn. Some fella seemed to recognise me or us from Blackwater. Guess we'd been holed up there too long while Hosea and I scouted out the job that never was. I chased the bastard. We chased him and let him live. Because it's me. We let him live, and he promised he'd never seen us and didn't say anything. And so this is where the girls were scouting out jobs. Karen got he got beaten a bit because she was obviously sort of selling herself for some information. That was, and we went and saved her. I don't know whether he's written about that. And I think that's where she must have found out about the bank, which you will see later. Oh yeah, here we go. This is about him. And he nearly fell off a cliff. I spared him and he gave me an ink pen, which I still have and refused to give away because it was like my first save. It's my own little trophy. I hope I won't regret my leniency, but I reckon he got the scare of his life. Jimmy Brooks was his name. That's something I need to remember for the future. Jimmy Brooks. I wonder whether he comes back into this. Okay. Wild carrots and yarrow. Met some old junk in Valentine, claimed he was a shootist, seemed more like a clown. Some poor fool was writing a book about him, or trying to. Levin was the name of the writer. Jim Calloway was the killer. Apparently Levin needs more information and asked me to find a few folk who have spent more time in publicity than me and knew of old Jim back when he was a real killer. Their names are Emmett Granger. Now, we've met Emmett Granger. He was a pig farmer. And he was a bit of a git, and we shot him. And then took a picture of his body, which was how lovely. Flaco Hernandez. Have we met Flaco Hernandez yet? I can't remember whether we've met him yet. We might have done, I can't remember. No, I don't think we have. I think he's the one that we haven't actually seen yet. Billy Midnight, we ended up, it was our very first quick draw mission, and he ended up killing himself on the train, which was not how it should have happened, not how it should have been. And I think if I'd known what I was doing better, I could have shot the gun out of his hand, but I didn't, and he shot himself. Bad times. Black Belle is awesome. We met Black Belle. She totally rigged up her homestead to explode various points around if people came. We had a massive gunfight. She is nailed. She's wicked. I thought that she was fabulous, and they should really be writing the book about her. But probably not, because she's, even if she is an outlaw, she is also female. Black Belle's wicked. Sounds like a troop of clowns. We shall see what kind of people those who want to be famous murderers are. My hopes are not too high. Okay. Colm O'Driscoll slipped out of our fingers once more, and I saw my own life slip through mine. That gentle buffoon we kidnapped up on the mountains took us to a cabin. That's Kieran. We were gentle buffoon, bless. We were planning to kill Colm, but he had just gone elsewhere. We shot a bunch of his boys, and one was about to end my life when Kieran shot him. So Kieran did save Arthur's life. This feud, it's bled out from Dutch and Colm's mutual hatred into a loathing that permeates all of us and all of them. Okay, so I want to know what that link is. I really want to know why Dutch and Colm hate each other so much. I mean, okay, they're both sort of contesting outlaws, and that's a reason to sort of dislike each other or to kind of have some issues. But a real hatred is something there's something much more interesting going on, something that stems much deeper. So I want to know about that. Still, I found quite a shotgun in the cabin. He did indeed. It was very nice. Oh, is that Oreo? Hello. And the bunny. Okay. Took a day off and went hunting with Hosea. He really seems to be getting his strength back a bunch, although he was lucky to not die as this big bear had been after turned on us. Yeah, that wasn't good. Let's not go after a bear with a bow and arrow next time. How about that? I thought we were stuck up on the mountains and that the cold and misery would kill him and we'd bury him like we buried Jenny and Davy, but he pulled through and he'll live a while yet. Good. Love Hosea. I love Dutch like a father, but in many ways I love Hosea even more. He's kind and fair and like a human being. Dutch is something else. And that's something that I clocked, and I am assuming that you guys did as well, that it's like the sort of their family. So it's the family kind of dynamics, isn't it? Because you don't always always agree with your parents. Quite often you don't agree with the kind of the ideas that your parents have for you and the kind of their plans and everything else. Whereas Hosea's like the cool uncle. Hosea's kind of like the one who gives you the fatherly advice and so on. And yeah, you can tell that they have a really close relationship. They're much more like each other. I was saying this, I think this is what I think. And again, I'm only halfway through the story, not even that. And I don't think I know it. I don't know exactly sort of the ins and outs. But I imagine a younger Hosea being very much like Arthur. And imagine Arthur as he grows up and he sees things and he does things and he sort of sees the world change around him, that he becomes more like Hosea, whereas Dutch is the dreamer, he's the thinker, he's the one who believes he's the intellectual kind of figurehead of the group, whereas Hosea is the actual kind of like father figure, when it really comes down to that sort of need for somebody to talk to and to kind of be comforted by and so on. And he watches. Hosea watches. Dutch doesn't seem to really... Dutch is so deeply kind of ingrained in his own ideas and his own beliefs and his own thoughts and reading his books and so on and being Dutch, that he doesn't really notice what's going on around him. He's very, very blinkered in that way, whereas Hosea is quiet and he sees. Hosea sees, and he sees the people, and he sees what they need as well. And so he talks to them, and he comforts them, and he lets them sort of speak their mind without worry of reprisal. And that's an incredibly important role within this sort of camp and the group dynamic. Met a strange guy, thought he was a prophet, blind. We gave him some money. Okay, Valentine went off drinking with young Lenny. Thanks to my own particular genius of trouble when drunk, the evening did not go quite according to plan, but somehow neither of us got killed or arrested for murder, despite my best efforts in that regard. Somehow, I don't imagine that the saloon owner in Valentine likes me very much after the mayhem I caused there. That was hilarious. That was just one of the best kind of cutscenes that I've ever seen in a game. And I've played quite a lot of games and I've seen quite a lot of cutscenes, but that was just brilliant. That was brilliant. If you haven't seen it, go back and have a scan and watch it. It's the episode called "Oh, Go On, Just One More." It's really good. Oh, I'm just flicking through pictures. Met a lady scientist. Not just a scientist, a lady scientist. Deborah something or other. Seemed to be more mad than sane, but I don't have much frame for reference for scientists. Wanted me to see if I could help her find dinosaur bones and send her the details. Maybe. I so want to find another dinosaur bone. Not quite sure where to look, but I'll figure it out. Hey, bison. Met a woman had killed a John. Claimed it was an accident. I helped her get rid of the body. Wonder if she was quite as innocent as she claimed. Yeah, we fed the body to the pigs. That was nice. Good for us, eh? Herr Strauss is back lending money, and I'm back collecting it, because he's the fist. The work mostly revolts me and shames me. Somehow robbing people honestly with a gun and fists is less repellent than robbing them fully in accordance with the law. It'll be the usual sort of desperados. Sick farmers, pregnant maids, lovesick young men, and other dupes desperate enough and stupid enough to take Strauss's terms. It's always really sad, because when you desperation. And then they have somebody like Arthur turn up and threaten you and beat you. It's horrible. A usurer's life may be a comfortable one, but it is foul work. Yeah. Okay. Found a fella caught in a bear trap a while back. Decided on a whim to save him. Then bumped into him in town. Guy gave me some store credit as thanks. Guess it sometimes pays to help folk out. Yes, it does. I have got most of my outfits and guns through that. Met an idiot hunting for treasure. Bought a map off him. Wonder if I'll find anything. That's a point. I've still got that map. Need to actually take a look at that. What That was a $10. That was a $10 map. It was totally useless. It's going to be useless, isn't it? I don't care though. Okay, Strauss. I went to call in alone. Some farmer, local do-gooder. This is the guy. I think I'd seen him in Valentine before when I was fighting that big fella that we beat so hard that we completely mushed his mind, unfortunately. He begged and coughed and spluttered, and I beat him half to death. Now, this is the guy that when he was coughing and he was spluttering, I was there going, oh God, the guy's got TB. The guy's got TB. This is really bad. The guy's got TB. And then he coughed blood in Arthur's face. And it was like, okay, well, Arthur's going to get TB now, isn't he? That's not good. That wouldn't have happened, and it wouldn't be mentioned unless it was an actual thing. So, yeah, that's... ugh. Such is the world. His boy looked at me like I was the devil, and perhaps for him I was. The whole thing confused me. Maybe that's wrong. The whole thing revolted me, my part. These sad, desperate bastards, their silly expectations of life and their tawdry reality. The unkindness of existence. I can handle that just fine, but I do not love it, nor those who try to make things otherwise, I guess. Okay, so... these are just silly expectations of life in tawdry reality. Yeah, he feels really bad for his part in doing Strauss's dirty work, doesn't he? He has some sympathy for these people because they're desperate and they expect so much more from life. They expect so much more from life than it has given them, and they try and make it better by borrowing money, and ultimately it comes back on them as something incredibly obviously negative, because Arthur has to go and beat the living daylights out of them. And I think this is him sort of saying he doesn't like the unkindness of existence, and he also doesn't really like people like Strauss who try and promise a better future, try and promise something better. That's what it sort of seems like to me. He's sort of saying, I don't like the people who sort of come along and say, hey, it's all going to be okay, because it's not. Hosea and I went robbing, just like in the old days. A father and son pair of clowns at some farmhouse. Stole a wagon, sold it some rat Hosea had met at some place called Emerald Ranch. What goes on there I cannot tell, but this little purchaser of stolen goods had us go rob his own family. It was his cousins it didn't like, wasn't it? Even by my standards, that was low, but the father and son we robbed was proof that even God makes mistakes sometimes. Oh, man. I snuck in at night and we robbed the loathsome bastards blind. This fella I took to talking with at the train station told me that I could get decent money if I collected complete sets of cigarette cards and sent them to him. We shall see. Sounds harmless enough. We have been collecting cigarette cards, but I haven't actually... Ah, it's Mary Little. I saw Mary again. I feel like the luckiest man alive, and I feel like a fool. That woman confuses me and plays me for a fiddle like no one else alive. Her little brother Jamie had joined some religious order and needed saving. The religious order was like what they called the Chelonians. They worship like the turtle or something. And so she and the god-awful daddy seem to have thought... I took him home after a pathetic little squabble, poor boy. I wonder what will become of him. Education and an unpleasant father have been a terrible curse for him, I fear. As for Mary, I trust I will not make a god-awful fool of myself once more, but somehow I imagine I shall. Love doesn't just go away. Met Emmett Granger. I cannot think of a single man I have enjoyed seeing dead more than this bastard. Pig shit and hatred, and he still threw a knife at me. That was one of the gunslingers that we were asked to go and interview about Jim Calloway. Met a nice fella taking photos of animals. Albert Mason, I think he was called. Kind and interesting and entirely lost and unused to real country, even though he seemed to love it. trying to take pictures of all our biggest predators before they all got killed off. Before they all got killed off themselves by the modern world. Should have got him to take a picture of Dutch. Before they got, yeah, big predator before he gets killed off by the modern world. So, yeah, he isn't moving with he isn't kind of growing with the times, is he? He's old school outlaw. Always will be. Whereas the rest of them are a bit more sort of, have a bit more common sense about them. Sorry, I keep on having to shift. I'm really sore this morning. He got robbed by a coyote, but I got his bait back. Honestly, he put bait in a satchel and left it for the coyote. I mean, how stupid can you get? No, I mean, like, no wonder. Like, what was he going to do? Okay. Got into some god-awful fight at the town saloon. Bill started it. He's wound so tight about something. I reckon he'll start hitting himself soon enough. I was stopped from beating some big yokel to death by a local do-gooder. I could not tell if this made me pleased or real angry. The local crowd seemed to want blood, however. Afterward, Dutch accosted me with old Josiah Trelawney, back and quite as slippery and confusing as ever. This is kind of out of sync because that was before we did the collection. That was before we went and collected from the guy who has TB, that Strauss had lent money to, because we'd already met him in town by this point. It's really that seems out of sync to me, but maybe I'm wrong. He'll come in again. This is Trelawney. He'll come and go again, no doubt, and leave none of us any the wiser as to who or what he is. Trelawney told us that Sean had not been killed in Blackwater, but was a prisoner there, held by scalp hunters awaiting payment. Charles, love Charles, Javier and I went to Blackwater and rescued that loudmouth maniac. Before we'd even cut him free from the tree, he was mouthing off at us. Javier said Blackwater is an impossible situation, and I guess I better forget about all that money. I do agree with that, but I'm not them. All them years wasted earning that stuff because he left everything behind. He's going to be pissed about that, isn't it? Guess I'll never quite know what happened, but the upshot is we're on the run and known to more folks in authority than we would like. Okay. Took young Jack out fishing as a favour to Abigail many years ago before she fell so hard for that fool Marston. Perhaps I should have married her. I said that there was something between those two. I said it. You could see it. Perhaps I should have married her. Took young Jack out fishing as a favour to Abigail. Full stop. Yeah. Many years ago, before she fell so hard for that fool Marston, perhaps I should have married her. I think part of me has always thought that. Yet goddamn you, Mary. So he didn't marry. He didn't because of Mary Little, who was never going to accept the life. Jack is a good boy, a dreamer. A boy with a mama who loves him. I wonder if he'll find what we seek, peace and truth away from all this nonsense and lies, if that is what we still seek. He's not convinced that that's what Dutch is after anymore, is he? Like, did the land that Dutch was going to buy, did it actually fall through? Or did he decide that he wanted to carry on being an outlaw and running and not settle down? I mean, maybe that's kind of conspiracy thing, but maybe, I don't know. Not that that's a new development. Not sure I know myself anymore. Jack's really sweet. Yeah, sometimes I'm not sure that Dutch does. As we finished, a couple of Pinkerton agents appeared. Milton was one of them. I forget the other. Milton was one of them. Is that... No, it wasn't Jay... What was that guy from Blackwater's name? Jamie something, but I don't think it was him. Oh, they've made... It probably wasn't. Pardon me. I forget the other fella's name. They all knew about me, and that's a new turn of events. Apparently there's 5,000 on my head alone, after Blackwater or maybe before. It seems we may be in for real trouble. I just don't know. Shoot, 5,000. I didn't know it was that much. Dutch don't seem too worried, but I'm beginning to have some doubts as to his wisdom in his indifference. He thinks he's... oh, like, invincible. Oh, Black Belle, what a woman. Yes! If she was younger and I was in the market for a woman to go killing with, what a pair we could have made. She told me old boy Calloway was a poser and a liar. Big surprise. Oh, look at that picture of her. She is just awesome. Okay. Guess Billy Midnight never escaped his past. Guy was deranged about shooting some fellow in the back or in their sleep or something else. Very sensible, in my opinion. Anyway, guilt had consumed him, so like a proper gentleman, he tried to kill me. Well, that's the outlaw way. More problems have befallen us, more running. This is Clemen's point now. So this must be like just as they had moved area. Leviticus Cornwall, the oil, sugar, rail and greed merchants who he robbed a while back, had us ambushed in Valentine. Seems he has added to the price on our heads. We shot our way out of town and narrowly escaped with our lives. The only amusing aspect of the horror was Herr Strauss getting grazed and acting like he was preparing for his short trip down to hell. Yeah, I mean, he was still stood up. I think, did he get he got a nick in his arm or something. But he's not a fighter. So, yeah. After this, we fled the country and headed even further south and east, camping by a lake. Yeah, so we're really not going out west, are we? This is pretty much new country for me. Charles and I saved a family of Germans who are in the process of getting themselves killed. He's a better man than me. He does not need to think to be good. It comes naturally to him. Like right is deep within, as opposed to this conflict between good and evil that rages within me. Charles is wonderful. When we went out, when we went out hunting the buffalo, killing them for sport, he's obviously against, and I guess as well that's part of Native American culture and kind of the sort of belief of sort of the sort of how sacred animals are and the land and nature. But he's just a deeply good person, and even though he's doing sort of bad things, he's not a bad man. It's shades of grey. It's great. If only we had fled west out of Blackwater, we could be free now, out where we belong, beyond civilization with the savages and the animals. Here we won't ever be at home. We didn't go far enough. So, there's Rhodes. So, turns out we're holed up here outside a town called Rhodes, deep in old cotton country. This place has not recovered from the war, and those folks that's sober enough to think are still angry. The drunk, which is most of them, are angrier still, but perhaps for other reasons. Adding to the absurdity, we appear to be planning to deputise ourselves in the local law enforcement. Hiding in plain sight again. And have already taken down a major bounty on their behalf, but mostly to rescue slippery old Trelawney, who had got himself arrested for some of his usual nonsense. Seemed like there's a long-running blood feud between two old families here. That's the Braithwaites and the Greys, and both Dutch and Hosea believe that they may be sitting on a lot of gold. We shall see, I guess. I don't think they are. I think that they're going to be mighty disappointed. I think if they were both sitting on gold, then I would think it's gone. I think it's gone by now. Look at that's the there's a poodle. That's really sweet. Okay. Deputy Sheriff. Finally, we have achieved a true state of insanity. For the first time in my life, I'm a deputised lawman. We went off with some moronic dupe deputy, working for the alcohol-drenched Sheriff Grey, pursuing some moonshiners. Dutch is convinced this will somehow lead to riches beyond compare. Seems the one powerful local family, the Greys, ex-Scots, are warring with another proud English family, the Braithwaites, like some long-running dispute from the border country. Apparently there's gold or women or something at the root of this, and if it's gold, we want it. Of course, of course. Either way, we're in so deep in the swamp and so entirely lost ourselves. I hope it'll take the Pinkertons and they're like a long while to find us. We shall see. But I'm fairly certain that it doesn't or isn't, because didn't the Pinkertons turn up when I'd been out with Jack? And I can't remember. Was that whilst we were at Horseshoe Point? Yeah, it was, wasn't it, that I took him fishing? It was whilst we were at Horseshoe. So hopefully now they don't know that we're here, but who knows? In the meantime, a new career path in law seems to await. Seems like amongst our other pals, a gang called the Lemoyne Raiders won't take too kindly to outsiders or anyone who ain't living in the distant past. Yeah, they are still in the sort of Civil War kind of point of damn kind of civilization coming in and stop us having slaves and doing whatever the heck we want. So I don't know very much about the American Civil War. I do apologise. I'm sure that you guys actually obviously know about it. Damn Brits. I should know. I really should know. So much for being a history teacher. Mrs. Adler, Sadie, the widow we rescued a while back, might be the craziest one of all of us. She fights like a cornered polecat with a rage and bloodlust that frightens the hell out of me. I ever get her on the wrong side and I'm a dead man. I don't intend to. She's a fine woman, amusing, good-hearted, decent and angry. Might be a little bit of a kind of a thing going on there, as in from his, well, certainly from his side. I think he definitely admires her, doesn't he? I took her shopping to stop her filleting old Pearson right in camp. After we got jumped, she went insane and showed she can kill with the best of them. Now, they were reading on the in the car on the way to Rhodes. Sadie opened this letter up that Pearson had asked them to post, and it was to his aunt, and she was doing a great impression of him. It was very funny. Met a fella called Miss Margaret, an animal trainer and showman, or showwoman, mistress of danger. Quite a character. Wants me to find some missing animals. Sounds easy enough. Oh, man. Oh, chanterelle mushrooms. And here's that empty town I found. Lots more pics. Okay. A while ago, I met an odd man dressed as a lady animal trainer. Are all Englishmen that weird, I wonder? All his animals were as fake as the rest of his act. Until I was to find and retrieve a real lion from somewhere or other in Africa I thought was going to be another dog. But no, it was a real lion. Thing looked like it wanted me for its next meal. That was great. After hunting a zebra that was a donkey, and a tiger that was a cougar, and another lion that was just a dog. Oh, I think that's right. I think I've lost track of the whole thing. And an assistant that's a real woman, and had a strange English maniac in a dress, pretending to be all that he isn't. I just remind yourself to never go on the stage. The weird English guy gave me a pretty decent emerald as payment for my troubles. Maybe he wasn't so bad after all. I think we've got about, was it like $50 for that? Oh, 30. Yeah. That emerald was about as real as the... Because I said it's probably just glass. That emerald was about as real as the zebra and worth a whole lot less. Seems Miss Margaret made idiots out of all of us. What did I expect? A man who dealt in fake tigers gave out real gems? Yeah, I mean, that was a bit stupid thinking that just take... It's like, oh, shall I get rid of it? It's like, what an act. Just get gold all the time. Just get money. Stumbled into this old junk on the streets of Rhodes. I don't know quite why he made an impression. The world is full of self-pitying junks. Hell, I hope to grow into one myself. But something about this fella, Josiah Compson, blamed everyone else for his plight, lost his career and his home, wanted me to go and find a few trinkets at his home, Compstonstead, just north of Scarlet Meadows. maybe I'll head over there at some time. Which we did. Went to the house. Don't feel so bad for him now. Feel like a fool. Bastard was a slave catcher. Yeah, and we threw his I love Arthur so much. Threw the ledger of slaves into, like, slaves that he'd caught and sold into the fire, and just been like, and we're just like, we can move on. Like, the world has changed. This is not okay. Like, deal with it and move on. Went to see nice Mr. Compson again. Burned his valuable ledger right in front of his eyes. That was basically a complete and utter fuck you, and I loved it. Okay, so that's Braithwaite Manor. Moonshine. I've met some charming women in my time. Catherine Braithwaite, the mother hen to that particular bunch of roosters, ain't one of them. No, she is a terrifying woman. A sour old jug of piss and bullshit I ain't never met. Even Hosea's charms were lost upon her. She refused our offer of selling her back her shine, and instead got us to give it away to annoy the saloon owners in town. That was quite funny. Hosea put on quite a show until we got interrupted by the bastards we robbed when grabbing the stuff. We just about escaped. On the other hand, I met this poor bastard grey boy, Beau, and his forbidden love, Miss Penelope. Quite the most alive creature we have met down here. Suddenly, I'm marching as a suffragette. The looks of loathing on the faces of the locals delighted me. Which, yeah, because, again, they're still stuck in this kind of, like, women should be not even seen and not heard, or sometimes not seen, even, and they should be having children and cooking and obeying their husbands and not wanting any independence or jobs or voting or any kind of rights, and black people should all be slaves. That seems to be pretty much the summary of it. Suddenly I'm watching this. Miss Callaghan amused me. I don't know much about good causes nor the joys of democracy, but I enjoyed my little experience riding alongside them. World is certainly changing fast. Arthur's willing to change with them. Charles and I went looking for Trelawney, who was staying in Rhodes. He'd been accosted by some bounty hunters who was looking for him and a means to get to us. Whole thing turned nasty, and he'd been treated pretty bad, but we got him out of there. Yeah, absolutely. In no way did I spend however long trying to find them and then shooting them with my varmint rifle. Yep, nope, didn't do that, obviously, because that would have been really stupid. He seemed worried that there might be more following in their wake, so came back to camp with us. There always seem to be more bounty hunters, Pinkertons, lawmen. Everywhere we go, there's more and more civilization. Perhaps this is it from now on. We shall see, I guess. This whole place is beginning to give me the creeps. I want to get back in the open country of the West, or what's left of it, but even that ain't the way that I remember it. Back out west. Is that it? That's it? So there we go. That was interesting. We still don't really know about. I mean, it's obviously been, it must have been alluded to in conversations, but we still don't know exactly what Dutch's true dislike of the kind of the sudden sort of civil war families are. We don't really know what's gone on between him and Colm. There was something to do with I think maybe Dutch killed Colm's brother. Still don't know about this shooting the girl. There's a lot of complications in this camp. Dutch has definitely got a different agenda to the rest of them, which is a worry for me. I think I get a horrible feeling that he's going to end up putting them in situations that he doesn't need to, and that aren't necessary. There are better ways of earning the money and then just getting the heck out and settling down. I don't think he wants to settle down because it's his identity, and I don't think he's willing to give that up. his identity as an outlaw, as Dutch van der Linde. I don't think he wants to kind of disappear into obscurity almost. You can sort of almost see that by the way he dresses. He's sort of almost very proud of who he's a very proud man, very proud of who he is. Whereas Arthur and Hosea are much more rational minded about the kind of the changing world and what they need to do and who they need to be and how they need to make progress to get to the point where they can settle down and live a quieter life. And I think the other people, certainly some of them, like Lenny, are kind of are feeling very much like that as well. I get the feeling, though, that Micah is going to be an issue because he's very hot-headed. Exactly, he's very much like Dutch. I think he's going to be an issue as far as this kind of maybe sort of change in their outlook goes. I think Micah's going to be a problem. I don't know, but he seems like he might be a problem. I think Charles is going to be on our sort of on the side of the sort of settling down and kind of living a quieter life. I think some of them are going to be sort of hedgy. I don't know about Karen. I think like Mary Beth and Tilly and Abigail, I think they'd probably want to settle down as well. But Karen seems to really like the outlaw life. So again, I'm just not quite sure. I think it could end up being quite divisive. And that's a bit of a concern. So anyway, it wasn't like it's not like the longest episode in the world, but I thought that was quite interesting, just at least reading through his journal, kind of going back and kind of confirming and reaffirming what we've already been through and what we've experienced, and then seeing if there are any little kind of like hints and tidbits about kind of how people are feeling or what's going on or any other sort of back information. So yeah, so that's where we're up to. So I will be playing some more tomorrow when I've actually got a bit more time, when I don't have to take the car in for its MOT. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to sort of seeing where we go next. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. If you actually watched through it and you did, then please do leave a comment. Do leave a like. Do subscribe if you would like to. If you haven't already, as I've said before, I'm very appreciative of those of you that have. And apparently that's a great noise. Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually just playing some more of the game, so I will see you next time. Thank you for bearing with me during that. Take care, everyone. Bye.